Hi there, my name is Eddie Blight. I'm from South Africa and I'm a clinical wellness and development specialist. And with me today, we have Breege and Anita, and we will always be the three of us. Sometimes I'll be talking first, and sometimes it'll be Breege, and sometimes it'll be Anita. And today we're really going to be talking about well-being. So hi there, everybody.
Hi, Eddie. So as Eddie said, my name is Breege. Breege Walsh is my name, and I live in the west of Ireland. And basically, I'm a happy coach and an emotional freedom facilitator.
Hi, Eddie. Hi, Breege. I'm Anita. I live in the west of Ireland, and I am a heart, mind, and body coach. Yes.
Great. So just to give you a little bit of background, the three of us met on a what we just call PQ, which is all about mental wellness and mental fitness. And the three of us started working together once a week. And we decided that we wanted to put this out into the world. We just keep it for ourselves, and we want to really get it out there. And well-being is such an important thing. And I'm going to point right to Anita to please explain to us, because she does it so well, about the being in well-being. So go ahead, tell us all about it.
Okay, so the spotlight is on, and I'm very happy to be with you guys here today. So I just want to thank you for taking this step together. And when I think about well-being, I think about our mind, our body, and our heart, our whole being, and connecting with that completely in a somatic way, in a way that we are really connected with ourselves and others. And what's important for me in this is the fact that when we wake up in the morning, it's important to be able to establish an intention for ourselves and for our well-being in that way, so that we can move through our day in that way. I lost my train of thought.
That's great. I think you've actually said it all. So from your side, it is that being in the space and understand what it is that you want to do today, is to recognize who you are. Breege, what would you say about that?
Yeah, so I would say that it's well-being isn't our emotional it's all of those things: our emotional well-being, our mental well-being, our physical well-being, and it's also on a spectrum. So I think, like, I may wake up this morning and my well-being spectrum, I may be quite high in the spectrum, and another day I may wake up and I would feel that I'm low on the spectrum. But what I really want to add is that it is quite easy for us, well, maybe easy isn't the word, but it's quite simple for us to make changes in our well-being if we're not happy with where we are or we feel like we are. So that's a lot of what we do, is that there's some simple habits we can incorporate into our day after that intention is set to boost our well-being, I suppose, for the want of a better word, and to do it during the day as well as first thing in the morning. Because it's great to set it off first thing in the morning, but then sometimes we can just get thrown off track when something happens that I suppose maybe triggers an emotional reaction, and then suddenly we're spiraling off into some sort of a downward spiral. But it's quite effortless to get ourselves back up, and that's some of the things we're going to talk about here, and we hope that you get value from this.
And just to bring it into that, it's something that we actually, this little something that we keep on talking about, and I'm going to give an example just now, but we also do it spontaneously without us knowing it. If you're in I find myself observing people, and catching myself doing it as well, that whilst I'm in a meeting or talking to somebody, I'll be fiddling around with a pen. So I'm fiddling around with my pen. why am I doing that? You know, you're actually trying to get into it. It's that physical touch to get out of the mind. So you're trying to do this. It's brilliant to watch people and just observe that as you talk to people, that people will start rubbing their hands for whatever reason it is. You know, we will meet somebody, we'll walk past somebody, and somebody will touch their hair. You know, why are they doing that? It is really that getting connected with getting out of the mind space, just to be the total being. And part of the problem is that we start living in our heads, and we live in our, and we don't actually take the whole package, which is body, mind, and soul. And we don't actually take the whole package. We only rely on the brain, and unfortunately, we also sometimes just rely on one part of the brain. And we need to really try. It's a whole package that that we are. We're not just the mind. We're not just the facials. We're not just the body. We everything. And this is really what we have to try and do, to really get out there.
Yeah, and to add to what both of you have spoken about, I would just like to state that I believe we all have a capacity for optimal well-being across all of those areas. And even just realizing that is an important step towards taking care of ourselves. And as Eddie said, there are many practices that we all have that we may not already be aware of. And especially if you watch, children, and, unfortunately, our cultures tend to frown upon these, what I would call self-soothing practices that we all have. And it's important to reignite our connection to those. So the first step in all of this is creating awareness in ourselves, of ourselves.
Yes, brilliant. That's great. And whilst Anita was talking, I was actually observing her arm moving up and down. She's actually soothing the dog. So, it is the same thing. It is these things that we have. It's a spontaneous thing. And we just have to be more aware of that. And the more we're aware of that, the more we'll recognize that we as people can be in, it does. And I just want to, sorry, I'm interrupting myself here, but we've got to also recognize that the world is not always a wonderful place. It's tough. The world is a difficult place, but even in that difficulty, we can still experience well-being. And the moment that we can experience the well-being, regardless of what's happening, that's when we really become complete human beings. And we're not just focused on the bad or the good. And it is the same thing with, it can't always just be good. It can't always be bad. There's got to be almost like a balance in life. And we've got to try and catch that and just bring it in towards ourselves.
Yeah, I agree, Eddie. And what I really like about what you're saying there is that we do have that power. Like sometimes I think we feel like, oh, these bad things are happening in the world. And there's lots of things we can look at in the world. I mean, at the moment, the world is quite chaotic. But I think it's really important to know that we inside of us have the power to, I suppose, to respond to things rather than to go with the automatic reaction or go with what maybe we're being told on the media. We have the ability to change how we feel about something, even things that appear to be really bad, and some of them are horrific. But it's the more we can understand that we have a power over how we feel about, and a lot of the stresses that we feel. It's like people say, oh, this is so stressful, that is so stressful. But if we understand that it's only stressful, like if I believe it's stressful, first of all, and if I take on that stress on the thing, and if I step back from this thing that appears to be a really stressful thing, and do some of these practices that we're talking about, it's amazing how we can center ourselves. And then maybe this thing that's happening may not cause us so much stress, or we may find another way of handling it. And that's the beauty of what I heard you saying there, Eddie, in our own ability to, our own power, really.
Yeah.
Yes. And I would love to underline that ultimately the stress is not what happens to us, but it is what happens within us in our response to what happens to us. So we always have that ability deep within us to change the way we look at things. And the minute that we change that, there's a cascade of change within us. And I like to, as you guys well know, refer to the ocean as an analogy for life. And we all have the ability to learn to surf those waves of life. And on some days, there is a big swell and you're going to get wiped out a lot, but you're going to get back up on that board and paddle out there. And you're going to catch some amazing waves in that day. And other days, it's going to be completely still and calm. You're going to be enjoying that. But each day we wake up is that absolute gift to, as you would often say, Eddie, to ask, what is life asking of me today?
Yeah. Wonderful. Yes, and I want to just add into that. Anita used the ocean, and it's such a wonderful thing because the ocean water is all around us, and it really is what we consist of that, and we've just got to try and go with the flow. Just be with it, become part of the wave, and not allow you can watch the wave and you can say, this is going to be terrible, or you can ride it out, and just become part of the wave of life. It's not necessarily easy. That we also have to know. It's not supposed to be easy. A big wave remains a big wave, but if you can't outswim the wave. So why not just join the wave? And doesn't mean that you have to join the negativity, but let it flow through and let it just pass over you. And that's the wonderful thing. If you're going to use the analogy of a wave, after each wave, there's going to be another wave, but you can decide whether you're going to be able to, if you're going to be a surfer, do you actually want to try and run this one, or are you going to let it go? And if there's bad stuff that happens in life, just let it go over you. Just let it go. Take a deep breath. Just become part of that ocean, and don't try and fight it. But also don't allow all the waves to hammer you onto the rocks. Work the wave, work it, because if we are going to get each and every little negative thing that we have in life that hits us, we're not going to have a very, very nice life. And we really need just to be focused in using the opportunities that we have in life.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And what I'd like to add to that too is that when we're keeping the surfer, if you want to be a really good surfer, any surfer, they're going to practice and they're going to build up their capacity to be a good surfer. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about here on this channel, because a lot of these practices, the ones that Eddie was talking about earlier, help us to build up the capacity to be able to ride the really high waves, the really strong waves, and the ones that might just flatten us. Whereas obviously it's easier on the easier days, but if you want to become a good surfer, you've got to be able to do those big waves, and part of it is to be building that capacity to do that, and that's what we're going to do here, and we're going to hopefully help you to do that.
Great.
Yeah, and I would like to add one thing to that as well, is to remember that there is always an ability to create a space, even a very small space. And you, as Eddie said, if you take a deep breath, if you dive underneath those waves, it is completely still. And there is always that still space that through practice, you can develop the ability to find and to go to into that just underneath. And again, in order to develop those skills, it takes some practice. So when you find yourself with those days that are still, that is your time. That is your time to build those mental muscles, as we say.
And from that, where I would like to now really pick onto what Anita has said. what we have to do is that we can't expect to become good surfers if we're just going to be, if we're going to jump into the water. It ain't going to happen. It really, life does not work that way. So what you have to do is you have to start, you've got to start learning how to swim, if you may. All right, or else you're never going to be able to become a surfer. And for those people that can't even imagine wanting to go and surf, or don't mind, don't worry, I don't want to surf either. I like the sea. I walk past and I enjoy the sea. What I would like you to do, and this is one of the takeaways that we'd really like you to start getting. Now, we all have our own different little things. My little takeaway from this that I would really like you to do is 10 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that, every day for a couple of times a day. That's the only thing that you have to do to really start building this mental fitness and to then be able to reconnect with your body. Now, one of the ways that I do it is I have a little stone, and these little stone, and by the way, there's a little message that my wife wrote onto it for me personally. But these little, I like to keep these little pebbles. It comes from the sea, it comes from the coast, and it is really just rubbing it for 10, 20 seconds, and just not just rubbing. That's a bit silly, rub and feel the texture, feel the temperature, feel how it fits into your hand for 10, 20 seconds a day. It is amazing what that would do to help you to ground you so that you can cope with the things that happen to you. If you're going to go into a stressful situation, just before you go into that, when you know it's there, the big wave, it might be a meeting, it might be somebody that you're going to meet that you know is going to upset you. Grab something, do this, just rub it. It's as simple as it is for 10, 20 seconds. So that's my gift to you. Please do this. You really enjoy, you find the value of that if you start doing that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's the beginning. There is no momentum without first starting. So if you make a promise to yourself, if you would like to explore this whole area, then I challenge you to take on Eddie's process. And it doesn't have to be a stone. It can be something else that you have in your house. It could be, something else that's just special to you. Just an item that you can have in your pocket. Nobody has to even know that you're doing this. This is just a moment of pause for you to connect with yourself and your senses. And it may sound very simple, but we would love to hear from you next week when we return if you have taken on this practice and what has happened for you and how you've experienced it. We're very excited to see.
I agree, Anita. That's exactly what was on my mind too. I'd love people to share how you found Eddie's practice, how you did it. Did you use a stone? Did you do something else? And when you used it, and what you noticed about doing the practice, even a few times every day for the next few days, what you noticed was different about yourself from doing that. So please do share. We are really looking forward to hearing from you.
Yes. Yeah, and as per usual, everybody's going to say this is a good time to subscribe if you want to listen to this, and if you want any notifications, please link up with us and just join us in these casual conversations that we have. You're going to find that we try to do it very, very, trying to be authentic in the way that we present this as well, because this is just a conversation. This is the stuff that we talk about every week. We really just want to share it with everybody else. And today was all about well-being, and really it's the waves that's there. We've got to take the world, all the stresses, all the good things, and use it to our advantage, just to find wellness and that our own wellness is so important, and with that you'll find that your well-being will improve, because life is tough, but life is not that tough that we can't still have a wonderful experience of that, regardless of what your situation is. So really, thank you very much for listening to us, and we hope to see you again. And if you'd like to say anything in closing, Anita and Breege, please go ahead.
Yes, I would just like to say from that is that, yes, awareness is that first step. And in every moment, there is a choice that you have from within to just be in that moment. So I would just, yeah, that's it from me for this week. And thank you to Breege and Eddie for joining me here.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for watching and listening. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you, and looking forward to connecting with you and having more wonderful conversations.
Yes. And in closing, remember to get something, and please do the exercises and let us know what you've experienced by doing it. Thank you very much for listening and watching us. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye.